Hey everybody, Mushbeard here, back with some more Chain Strike action. I don't want to give out my usual speech at the beginning because this is going to may come off as a little bit of the rant, but this is my Chain Strike State of the Game video, and I don't want it to think that other companies or properties are supporting my views or anything, so they may happen to agree, but this will be just from me and my thoughts on the game as we are about 2 months in. So there's been some talks a lot recently on the Discord and other stuff about where this game is, where it's going, and kind of the problems that might be. So I'm going to go over a little pro and con list of where I have 2 months into the game, kind of what I think, and then maybe some suggestions which I think might help bolster the game going forward. So state of the game, pros. Unfortunately, I don't have a ton. But it's much easier to focus on negative things than positive things, obviously, and I'm sure there'll be more that come to mind, but I'm going to start with unique game style. That's the biggest pro to me. It is the reason I keep playing. Like, I love this game style. It's different than other games. It's unique on the market. It's just there aren't any other games like it, which right now is a big plus for Chain Strike, but if other games started to come out that were more similar to it, would this game be able to hold up in its current state? I don't think so, but that's part of this whole discussion that we're having here. Second, pro, the game can be difficult, which I actually like. I like that it's challenging especially for free to play early on. S ranking everything can be a challenge if you don't pull the right units. The dungeons climbing up. You kind of see that steady progression. They did nerf, floors 8 and 9 recently to make it easier. I can now clear 8, but not as high as I regularly as I wanted to, so I'm still working on that, and that's okay. And I know there's people that have cleared 10 and cleared 11 when they get stuff, and they're going to be ahead of me. I'm not saying they shouldn't be, whether they're free to play or not. That's just how it is. But I think overall, some of those things are difficult, and I like that. I think it comes part of with the game style, makes it that way. But it's not super difficult where it's just banging your head on a wall and, you have no way to progress. So I think that's good. I think it has good graphics. I like the animations. I like the art style. I know people have said maybe they want a bigger board, but maybe that could be a feature for something else, I think given the combat and stuff, the board style and everything is good. I like the graphics. I enjoy them. I don't get tired of looking at them or anything, so I have no problems with that. Unfortunately, that right there, from when I was trying to come up with this stuff, kind of concludes my pro list. It's pretty short. Like I said, the game style is huge for me. I really enjoy it. So that's a big pro for me. Like, it's a huge pro. So even despite all the cons, that pro is so huge that I really enjoy it. But let's get on to what people are probably wanting to hear, which is the negative stuff. So the cons of the game right now. One of the cons actually is the unique game style. Some people just may not like it, and you're going to have that. It's not your traditional turn-based game, and that's okay. It's going to cater to certain people like myself, but others are going to be turned off by it, and you run that risk, obviously, when you come up with the concept, and that's okay. But that is a con for some people. To me, it's definitely not, but for some people it may be. Bland builds, my second con here. There's just no diversity in the equipment, since only 2 slots can really be changed, which is your necklace and your rings. Everything else is static for the main stat. Obviously you're looking for substats. And I think their intention was that relics might help do that. Putting relics on people, because you can get unique relics like adding a chance to ignore defense and stuff like that. Excuse me. On your relics, but that's not a reliable way to diversify builds, especially for free-to-play, because it's a lot more difficult to transcend for them, because they don't get the materials as fast, they can't level up as fast, stuff like that. So eventually going down the road, maybe that helps, but I think in theory it had a good concept, but I think in actual execution it lacks, and it makes builds very boring. You see someone, you're not thrown off by anything on what they're building. You know exactly what you're going to get when you see certain units. That's just how it is. And there should be some units that are that way, but there should be some units where you're like, hey, are they going to build this tankier? Is it more they're going to surprise me with a DPS build? And kind of look at those things, but it's just boring. And one of the stats you get, which you're forced to use as pincer attack, is extremely boring, because other than like 2 units like Stein and Dragonaz, no other units. I mean, it's just a low stat. It's for the pincer. The pincer attack concept is good. The stat and stuff is just boring. There aren't other units, like there's no heals that scale with pincer attack or buffs that scale with pincer attack. It's just a really boring stat. So I think they need to be able to diversify builds more. Obviously don't add speed, but customize some of the main stats on your gear. Or add in some other stats that you can use. That's not for me to come up with all the time, but that's how it is. The third con I have here is there's no guild things to do. You can create a guild and join it and check in every day, and it's hard enough to get everyone. I don't think I've ever had a day when every single person checked in, whether they played or not. And yeah, it's nice to get those rewards, but there's nothing to do. There's no guild battles. There's no guild raids. There is literally nothing to do with the guild. The chat system isn't good, so you can't even like have a persistent conversation in guild, because you can't even see once you log off and everything. You can't even see what was chatted about, so you have to resort to Line or Discord. And then getting people to join those is another pain. But there's just nothing to hold the guild together. You know, a lot of games over the years, that guild camaraderie that keeps you playing longer than you might have, because you enjoy the people, you enjoy doing the challenges with them, whatever that might be, or pushing yourself against, competing against one another. However it is, that you're lacking all of that. In 2 months in, I thought we might start to see some of that stuff, you know, coming in, but I haven't heard anything about it, so we're kind of looking for some guild stuff here. The fourth con I have is the lack of new content and events. Passive events, they just don't cut it. I was a big proponent early on when people were claiming that the launch should have had huge events and all this stuff, and I said, no, just wait. You don't want people just getting hooked into the event and then expecting that big event's going on all the time. You kind of want them to start playing, enjoy the game, then, you know, in that, maybe at the end of that first month, kind of a celebration, you know, start throwing a nice active event where you can do stuff. But nothing's happened. There's been very passive events. There's one that's going on right now where it's about evolving units up stars, and you get rewards, but you don't even get the rewards immediately. You have to wait till the event is over and then for them to verify and then send you the reward. That is just a bad idea. And not only that, you can't even check how far along in the process you are. If you evolve, a certain number of units, you get a certain rewards, but you can't even see how many units you've evolved. So I mean, you're just guessing unless you specifically keep track of it. I'm not, and I evolved a unit that I thought was after the cutoff time frame, or when the event began. But was it? I don't know. I mean, I have no way to verify that it actually counted. So it's just the execution is just lacking. The number 5 that I have here is the lack of usable units for higher tier dungeons. You're looking at dungeons you need continuous damage for those higher, those 9th and 10th floors and those 11th floors. You need those units, like a Knight Saren or pretty much any of the Huas, which are going to be hard to pull because they're Nat 5s, and the Knight Saren, you're looking for one specific direction of a unit. That really means I have Bishop, and Bishop just has not worked out because of the gimmick. It actually gets in the way. She'll place it in her line of attack, and then she can't attack. So using the gimmick to stack dots with her pincering on her main skill doesn't work, or it stands in the way of blocking someone else, and then that's just a pain. And now I know she has other directions that don't have the gimmick, but they don't have the double dot that you're kind of looking for, like Knight offers, and I thought Bishop might offer. Other than that, that's it. I mean, yes, you can raise, Taylor, the little raccoon guys, but not everyone wants to do that. But even then, that's one unit that you're really looking at outside of that, so you're forced to raise it. Where's the options for either units that apply continuous damage or for ways to defeat the boss without continuous damage? We just want options to do these things, so I'm not forced to build this specific unit just for me to progress. Let me be able to do it with different units or similar units, but not specifically ones. Maybe I enjoy another one better than this one, so let me build it that way, and still be able to get. I might not be as fast, but at least I would be able to do it. So there just needs to be more diverse units that you can use to get through the dungeon content, because right now all you have really is story mode and dungeon, and that's it. So the number 6 I have here for cons is in regards to PvP, Nexus sniping. It is all the rage right now, and it is. I don't do it, A, because I can't. I don't really have the units for it. But B, it takes away from the whole point of the PvP is to fight against another person. And I know it's an AI in this case, but to battle yourselves and see how your units stack up against and how your team comp work together and all that stuff. And people are completely ignoring that. They're just going straight for the Nexus, even ones that. I mean, yes, you could blame people for not leveling it up, but there's so many things to do with glory points from PvP that maybe you don't want to, or mine's like level 25, but it takes a crap ton of points to keep going. And I know there's some people in the 30s, but people just aren't leveling it up. They're just trying to protect it. But the thing is, you can protect it on turn 1, but they can literally use a unit to bait your units away from your Nexus, and then on turn 2, just blow it up in one turn, and then fight's over. And that's just really boring. So I think there needs to be a way to change that, whether you can't kill the Nexus in the first 10 turns or something. I don't know what it is. But they can throw those ideas around so that that can't happen. You're forced to fight and stuff like that. So maybe you can't kill a Nexus until you have the other enemy team is down to 1 unit and it's in rage mode. I don't know what it is, but something needs to be done because it's incredibly boring and no one's going to want PvP for that. I think the reason the live tournaments haven't even, the Goodwill Battle tournaments haven't gotten kicked off like we thought they would, is because people are afraid it's gonna be a Nexus sniping fest, and whoever can kill the other Nexus faster is gonna win, and that's boring to watch and boring to participate in. So Nexus sniping needs to change. The next one I have here, number 7, the AI hasn't really gotten any better. I know they talked about improving some things, and I'm okay with having to manually do certain things early on, especially when you're progressing until you get to the point. But even then, when you go to auto, it should be a fairly steady performance. But the fact that they can do completely different things when nothing else has changed, like all the bosses' actions are the same. He doesn't crit me on the first time I do it, but the second run I do, he doesn't crit me either. But for some reason, I move because whatever reason. It's like, hey, why did you move out of the range? Or they'll move out of the range of an attack, which they don't, and then the next turn they'll move back into the range of the attack, and it's like, what? Just stay where you were if you didn't want to get hit, or stay and take both of them. Either way, don't go out and come back in. That's just dumb. So the AI just needs to auto. This is a mobile game in the end, and auto needs to be able to be used. That's what's going to keep people for mobile games. If you want to sit down and manual everything, then you would play PC games or console games. That's how they are. I'm not saying everything needs to be 100% auto all the time, and adding the 10 times was a quality of life change improvement. It's just, now people are even realizing more how grindy it already has become in 2 months. And even some of the big names that were creating content and stuff are kind of taking a break. Like, hey, there's nothing to do. So that kind of needs to change. And then I've got here, no purchasable XP booster. So yes, there's a hot time, and pretty much hot times are every day. That hot time doesn't work for everyone. It's the middle of the night. Like, I'm not gonna get up. I'm not gonna set my schedule around this game. I got a lot of kids. I need as much rest as I can get. It's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna log on at 2 a.m. or whatever it is and farm experience for an hour. No, I need to be able to purchase an XP booster, whether it's for 24 hours or 6 hours or 12 hours or 1 hour. I need to be able to purchase one, so when I want to grind XP, I have units that are, 6-star awakened, but they're like in their low 30s because the grind from 30 to 40 is incredibly long. I need to be able to get that double experience so I can do that, but I can't because of the hot time. And yes, I could switch to the Europe server and the hot time would change for me. It still wouldn't be in a favorable time. It'd be at least usable, or half of it would be usable. But you can't just rely on double experience from hot time because not everyone can do hot time. So there needs to be experience boosters so I can raise units faster when I want to. So when I want to grind to get units up for either to 6-star them or to make them 5 stars and help for transcendence, so I can +5 my 6 stars so I can transcend them eventually. I do have one transcended unit, my anonymous, but I want to be able to buy the booster and then go grind the experience and evolve them up and do that, but I can't. So that is a con for me. If you've got any pros and cons with this game, definitely leave them down in the comments below and let me know. I'm sure Com2Us won't even look at this or hear this. I mean, I'll post this where I normally post my videos. Maybe it'll get some traction. I'm just saying I'm a little worried at the game at this point. I was trying to reserve judgment for a while and thought things might get better. But with seeing people, kind of taking breaks and dropping off, it's kind of get to the point where I feel like I need to say something. There's not a ton of content creators, so at least hopefully, they'll take that. But I think this game could be great still. Like if they can improve PvP and all this stuff and make it, you could have really fun live tournaments and everything. If it's just done right and there's things to do these things. So adding XP boosters or fixing Nexus sniping, diversifying builds. There's a whole lot of things. Adding guild stuff. It's just those things that we want to do. They're just not coming out. They just kind of sitting out. They're not promoting the game, it doesn't feel like. They're just kind of throwing passive things to try and keep us satiated until whatever they have planned. But they don't let us know what they're having planned. Like it's not they're like saying in the next 2 or 3 months, here's what we have planned. At the beginning of the month, you kind of get the developer's notes for the patch at the end of the month. But even that was off because the developer's notes talked about daily dungeons. And then the patch came, and there's no daily dungeons. So we thought there might be a gold dungeon there, maybe an experience dungeon. Don't get me started on experience potions. That's just a bad way to get experience. It costs a ton of money to do that, so gold is already at a premium in this game. I don't want to spend more than I have to when I'm trying to do other stuff. But that is my thoughts on the state of the game. 2 months in right now. Like I said, I still enjoy the game. But there's times when I'm just like, I don't want to log on because I'm just going to log on and hit 10 times and it's going to do what it's doing when you've been watching this video, which is just grinding Pollen 7 until I can get some of my gear. I have enough money to, level up the gear, the 5-star gear that I get and some 6-star, and then I can move on to 8 and 9 and maybe Kraken or Hydra. But that is it for this episode, everybody. Thanks for watching. This is Mushbeard. I am out.